Imagine being in a band doing a concert and in the audience is none other than Jimi Hendrix himself listening to you play. No pressure. That actually happened to Rolling Stones guitarist Mick Taylor when the Stones played Madison Square Garden in November 1969. And not only was he not intimidated, he went on stage and played his heart out and showed everybody who was boss. His guitar solo on Sympathy for the Devil, I rank it as my absolute #1 best guitar solo I've ever heard.
That's a bold statement.
Now, I'm gonna try to play it for you, but bear with me here because I'm no Mick Taylor, but as the saying goes, we'll give it the old college try. And that was my attempt at Mick Taylor's guitar solo from Sympathy for the Devil, the live version from Get Your Yayas Out. Such an incredible guitar solo. It really flows and so many beautiful ideas in there. Let's take a look at 5 of the things that he's doing that you can steal and add to your own repertoire. First of all, when we look at the song Sympathy for the Devil, most of it is just 3 very basic chords. With, by the way, Keith Richards playing some very nice lines on top of that. Really gels together nice, those 2 guitar parts. And after 4 or 5 minutes of the song, we have the great guitar solo. Starts off by Keith Richards doing his thing, which he plays a rather good solo himself. But afterwards we get the Mick Taylor virtuoso guitar solo, of course. What's interesting is the way he starts. Again, how he starts the solo. You would expect Mick Taylor to start like... But he doesn't do that at all. He starts off like this. What a brilliant way to start the song. And what he's doing is, rather than using the guitar pick, he's using his fingers. And by doing so, when he does start to use the pick, it suddenly becomes an event. Hear the difference? Slight difference. As soon as he starts using the guitar pick, it gets a bit louder. And equally with the fingers, you get this sort of a sound that you couldn't do with the guitar pick. So what I do is, I hold the guitar pick just with my index finger. And I'm able to switch between using the pick and using the fingers in an instant. And that's exactly what you want to do here. And the moment when Mick Taylor starts to use his guitar pick, there's also something else that he starts to do. Now, rather than just saying what it is, let me show you what it is. See if you can notice something in my playing. noticed anything? Besides the enormous vibrato that he's using all the time. But there was also something else. He's changing between the major pentatonic scale to the minor pentatonic scale and vice versa. He starts off in the major pentatonic, playing licks such as beautiful lick. But then he goes on to the minor pentatonic scale, which coincidentally feels exactly the same. It's just 3 frets up. But it sounds completely different. Anything you play here is a bit more nasty. That's different from major, minor. And you might say, well, okay, what's the big deal here? A major pentatonic and a minor pentatonic scale. We all know that, right? Yeah, well, you'd be surprised how many people play a guitar solo and just stick with the one minor pentatonic scale all the time, or equally just stick with the one major pentatonic scale all the time. And Mick Taylor is not doing that. He's switching between the two, creating a much more interesting guitar solo. There's a certain technique that Mick Taylor is using all throughout the entire solo extensively, and it's something he borrowed from Eric Clapton. Take, for example, a lick like this. When you look very carefully, he's pressing down his ring finger on 2 strings. And he does that all the time. Now you might say, well, is that it? It's very simple. Yeah, but most people, when they play a guitar solo again, they go from one note to the other by pressing down another finger, like this. And so on. But by using the ring finger, going from ring finger to the other ring finger, it creates a certain feel. Just works. It makes it very fluid. Now this next one is so incredibly fundamental, and in all the years that I taught people how to play the guitar back in the Netherlands, all the students, they understood it, but most of them didn't do it. And if you don't do it, then you don't know it at all. So rather than saying what it is, again, I'm gonna play a bit of Mick Taylor's guitar solo and see if you can notice what technique it is I'm talking about. Even to play just a small part of his guitar solo is it's like exercise. I mean, it takes a lot of energy. It's incredible. Anyway, the thing that he was doing here, obviously, was repetition. That one note, remember? But you keep repeating. And the thing is, most guitarists who can play a solo, they know about repetition and repeating one note or a couple of notes. That really works. But the problem is, most people don't do it nearly long enough. The thing is, when you do something like that, the longer you keep it up, the more you grab the attention from the audience, and everybody starts to wait until the moment that, finally he plays something else. Repetition only works when you exaggerate it. And the last thing we're going to talk about here in this video is Mick Taylor's impeccable vibrato. I mean, his vibrato is just among some of the best I've ever heard on guitar. He has a very wide vibrato. I use 3 fingers and I really push downwards. A lot. Your vibrato really is your trademark, not just as a guitarist, but as a musician. You can, for example, tell right away that Charlie Parker was an incredible musician just by listening to the man's vibrato. It's really something you want to get right.